Have you ever noticed how some people can just completely captivate an entire room by talking about something totally mundane?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm talking about someone literally holding court over their weekend grocery shopping or, the agonizing minute-by-minute details of a delayed train.
Right, and everyone is just leaning in, laughing, totally hooked.
Exactly. And yet, on the flip side, you have people who can be sharing these groundbreaking, earth-shattering life updates, maybe a massive career shift or huge industry news, and somehow, within 30 seconds, people are subtly checking their phones.
Yeah, the eyes glaze over.
It's wild, isn't it? It doesn't make logical sense.
It really is wild, but it exposes this fundamental misunderstanding that most of us have about human connection. We operate under this assumption that the value of what we're saying is entirely dependent on the raw data.
The actual content.
Right, the content.
Yeah.
But if the data were all that mattered, the groundbreaking news would win every single time over the grocery store saga. Clearly, something else is driving that engagement.
And that difference between those two people, it isn't some magical, innate charisma. It's a microdynamic focus. And that is exactly what we are unpacking in our deep dive today.
I love this topic so much.
It's so applicable to literally everyone. We're looking at the subtle mechanics of making people actually want to listen to you. We're not talking about, projecting a booming theatrical radio voice or memorizing parlor tricks.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
We're talking about the underlying psychology of how our words land.
Because the near universal blind spot we all share is that we spend just an enormous amount of energy.
Out the shower.
Yes, we worry about our vocabulary, our logic, the bullet points of our argument. And in doing so, we become completely blind to how the other person is actually receiving it.
Right.
The focus is entirely on the broadcast, and zero attention is paid to the receiver.
Which means if you want people to tune in instead of tuning out, you really have to completely rewire your internal monologue. You have to move from asking yourself, how do I sound, to asking, how do they feel?
That shift from me to them is the engine behind every great communicator.
It really is.
When your internal monologue is stuck on how do I sound, you are functioning in a state of ego protection. You're worried about appearing smart or capable or dominant.
People can feel that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humans are incredibly perceptive, highly evolved social creatures. When someone speaks to us and their focus is entirely on their own performance, our brains pick up on it immediately.
It feels transactional.
Yes, exactly. We feel less like a participant in a conversation and more like a prop in their personal play.
I always think of it like a radio broadcast.
Yeah.
You could have the most powerful transmitter in the world, a brilliant mind, a fantastic vocabulary, a perfectly structured argument. But if you aren't dialed into the listener's specific frequency, meaning their current emotional state, their stress levels, maybe their insecurities, all that power just hits them as static.
That is a perfect analogy.
They literally cannot process the music you're trying to play for them.
And dialing into that frequency happens on a biological level long before they even process your vocabulary.
Wait, really? On a biological level?
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at the actual mechanics of vocal tone and pacing. When we are anxious, or even just, hyper-focused on our own agenda, our physical body changes.
Our muscles tighten up.
Exactly, our muscles tighten, and that includes the vocal cords. As they constrict, our vocal pitch naturally rises. We speak faster, we eliminate pauses because, we're afraid of losing the floor.
Right, it feels like a verbal assault. You're just throwing words at them without giving them a single second to catch them.
Exactly. Now consider how the listener's brain interprets that. Evolutionarily, a fast, high-pitched, relentless stream of noise is a warning signal.
Oh wow, like an alarm.
Think of a baby crying or a distress call. When you speak rapidly and in a higher register, it triggers a very subtle stress response in the listener's nervous system. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, lights up.
It signals urgency or conflict.
Spot on. It tells their brain something is wrong.
So, by intentionally doing the opposite, like slowing down, dropping your voice into a warmer, lower register, you're basically hacking their nervous system.
You are. You are actively soothing their amygdala. By lowering your pitch and slowing your cadence, you are sending an ancient biological signal for safety.
That is fascinating.
And here is where the neuroscience gets really interesting. When the amygdala senses a threat, it releases cortisol and adrenaline, which physically limits access to the prefrontal cortex.
Which is the logical, rational part of the brain, right?
Exactly. But when you signal safety through a calm, warm tone, the nervous system relaxes. The prefrontal cortex opens up.
So they can actually hear you.
Yes. They are now literally, neurologically, more capable of understanding and agreeing with your complex ideas because you've prepared the biological soil.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And beyond just the tone, there's the pacing. Like when you slow down and actually leave a pause after a sentence, you aren't just sounding relaxed.
Right.
You are showing this profound respect for the listener's processing time. You are implicitly telling them, I value your comprehension more than I value hearing myself talk.
It's the ultimate display of confidence. I mean, a nervous speaker rushes to fill the silence. A confident speaker lets an idea breathe.
I love that. I want to take this biological framework, this idea of soothing the amygdala and prioritizing their feeling of safety, and look at how it breaks down in the real world.
Let's do it.
Let's look at a high-stress environment where this shift in focus is absolutely crucial, but honestly, often completely abandoned in the name of speed. The workplace.
Oh, yes. A classic environment where what do I want to say? Completely overrides the how do they feel.
Precisely. So let's look at the first scenario from our deep dive materials. Let's say you have a colleague, Sarah.
Okay, Sarah.
Sarah hands in a quarterly report. She worked really hard on it, it's generally good, but she made a crucial mistake. She forgot to include the Q3 sales data.
Ouch.
Right. As her manager, you need this fixed immediately. The natural impulse is to walk right up to her desk and deliver the cold, hard facts. Hey, you forgot to include the Q3 sales data in this report. I need you to add it and send it back.
Now, if you survey a room full of professionals, a large percentage would look at that statement and say, what's the problem? It's not rude.
There's no profanity, it's factual.
Exactly.
I have to admit, I'll play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
In a corporate environment, time is literally money. We're all so busy.
Sure.
Saying, you forgot the data, please add it, is efficient. Why do I need to worry about the microdynamics of her feelings? Doesn't softening the blow risk sounding passive or weak?
I hear this all the time.
Like, why do I need to coddle a grown adult over a professional mistake?
That is the absolute most common pushback, and it comes from confusing the efficiency of words with the efficiency of outcomes.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Yes, you used fewer words, but let's look at the outcome by dissecting the psychology of that interaction. You started the sentence with, you forgot.
Right.
The spotlight is instantly, blindingly on her failure. Even if your tone was relatively neutral, starting a sentence with you forgot or you missed instantly triggers that amygdala threat response we just talked about.
I see. To use a different analogy, it's like trying to force a software update on a computer while it's running an emergency malware scan.
Oh, that is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
If your accusatory language triggers her threat detection, the malware scan, her system physically will not allow your new information to install.
Exactly. Her ego is under threat. It's a threat to her professional survival, her competence, her standing in the tribe, so to speak.
Wow. Yeah.
You have put Sarah on the defensive. She feels caught. Now, will she add the Q3 data? Yes, of course. She will comply.
But she is doing it out of fear.
Fear and self-preservation. You've introduced a toxic undercurrent. She might start hiding future mistakes. She certainly isn't feeling a burst of creative partnership with you.
So the efficient words actually created a highly inefficient, fragile working relationship. You get short-term speed, but you completely destroy long-term velocity.
Exactly. So how do we shift this? How do we use the microdynamics of communication to get the exact same result, which is the Q3 data in the report, but keep her prefrontal cortex engaged?
Let's look at the warmer, more thoughtful alternative from the text.
Let's hear it.
You walk up, you drop your register, you speak calmly, and you say, "Hey, Sarah, I was reading through your report and the insights are great. I noticed we might need the Q3 sales data to really drive the point home for the client. What do you think about adding that in?"
The word choices there are incredibly deliberate when you put them under a microscope.
They really are. Let's break down what just happened there.
Well, first, there's the validation. The insights are great.
Right. You establish that she is competent, which immediately signals safety to that threat-detecting part of her brain. The malware scan is called off.
Exactly. But the really massive pivot is the pronoun shift. In the cold version, it was, you forgot. In this version, it's, I noticed we might need.
The word we changes the entire architecture of the problem.
It completely does. It is no longer you versus your mistake. It is now us versus the challenge of making this report perfect for the client.
That's such a gentle way to frame it.
By framing it that way, you are basically acting as an ego bodyguard. You protect her pride You aren't pointing fingers at a flaw. You are inviting her to be a partner in a shared goal.
And finishing it with a question, too, like, what do you think about adding that in? It feels almost dangerously passive at first glance because we both know she has to add it in.
Right, it's not actually an option.
But psychologically, you are giving her agency. You are giving her the space to say, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll do that right now.
It allows her to take ownership of the solution. She isn't a subordinate being dictated to. She's a collaborator making an executive choice.
You preserved her dignity.
Never underestimate how much human beings crave dignity. People will move mountains, they will work late, they will innovate for a leader or a colleague who consistently preserves their dignity in moments of error.
That's so true.
It requires a tiny bit more effort up front, maybe, 5 extra seconds to craft the sentence and soften your tone. But the long-term efficiency of building a loyal, secure team is just incalculable.
Let's take this exact same philosophy, preserving dignity and keeping the nervous system calm, and pull it out of the office.
Okay, where are we going?
Because it's one thing to carefully craft a sentence when you're in a professional setting wearing your professional mask. It's entirely different when you are in your own home, the stakes are highly personal, and you are completely, utterly exhausted.
The domestic battleground, where our absolute worst communication habits usually live.
Yes, the ultimate testing ground. Let's look at a scenario that happens in almost every single household.
I'm ready.
You come home from work, you had a terrible commute, you're tired, you just want to sit down, you walk into the kitchen, and your partner, or maybe your roommate, has left a massive stack of dirty dishes in the sink for the second day in a row.
The visual trigger of the dishes, it's never just about the dishes, is it?
Never. The immediate natural impulse, and I'm totally guilty of this, is to let that frustration out immediately.
We all are.
Usually starts non-verbally, a loud, heavy sigh, dropping your bags loudly on the counter, and then a sharp, high-pitched tone. Why do you always leave your dishes for me to clean? You need to start doing your share.
You've instantly created a courtroom.
It really is. You become the prosecutor, and you are just laying out the evidence of their domestic crimes.
Exactly.
But why does this approach virtually guarantee a screaming match rather than a clean kitchen?
Because of the absolute language. When you use words like always or never, why do you always leave your dishes, or you never help, and you are no longer commenting on the state of the sink. You are labeling their character. You are implicitly saying you are a lazy, inconsiderate person.
And nobody responds to a character assassination by saying, you know what? You make a compelling point. I am a terrible person. Let me grab some dish soap.
Never. The instant you attack their character, their ego defense mechanism slams down like a steel door. Remember the amygdala hijack from earlier?
Yes, the threat detector.
It's happening right here. Their brain senses a profound threat to their identity. They will immediately search their memory banks for the one time they did clean the dishes, or they'll launch a counteroffensive.
Oh, I leave dishes. What about the fact that you left your shoes in the hallway for 3 days?
Exactly. It's whataboutism. The dishes become entirely irrelevant. It's now a war of egos. You wanted a clean kitchen, but your accusatory language made that the absolute least likely outcome.
Okay, but this is where it gets really hard for me. Because in that moment, I am exhausted. I am mad. The kitchen is a mess.
Yeah, your feelings are valid.
I don't want to fake being happy about it or coddle them when they're clearly in the wrong.
And you shouldn't fake being happy. Toxic positivity doesn't work either. What you have to do is shift your focus from outward accusation to inward vulnerability.
Inward vulnerability.
Instead of attacking them and putting their character on trial, you reveal your own internal state.
So practically, what does that sound like? How do we apply the vulnerability shift in the kitchen?
First, you have to control the physical mechanics. Take a breath. Avoid the dramatic sigh. Lower your vocal register so you don't sound like a siren going off in their living room.
Right, soothe the amygdala.
Exactly. And instead of focusing on their actions, focus on your experience. You might say, hey, I've had a really overwhelming week at work, and when I walk into the kitchen and see the chaotic sink, it makes me feel so stressed out. Could you help me out by clearing those when you get a moment?
It's a massive psychological pivot. You're taking yourself out of the role of the prosecutor and making yourself a fellow victim of a stressful week. You own your feelings. It makes me feel stressed.
Notice what you didn't do there. You didn't suppress your frustration. You just accurately reframed it as stress and overwhelm, rather than weaponizing it as anger against them.
And psychologically, this changes everything about how they are allowed to respond. Because you aren't backing them into a corner, Their ego doesn't need to mount a defense.
Right.
In fact, people naturally want to help those who express vulnerability calmly. You're giving them a chance to rescue you rather than defend themselves against you.
Exactly. You are tapping into a completely different behavioral instinct. Accusation triggers the fight or flight defense instinct. Vulnerability triggers the pro-social caregiving instinct.
That is so interesting.
It's hardwired into us as social mammals to comfort a member of our tribe who calmly expresses distress by framing it as, "I am stressed, could you help me out?" You turn a hostile demand into a request for support.
It's giving them an opportunity to be the hero of the interaction, rather than punishing them for being the villain.
And look at the practical result. They get to step up and alleviate your stress. They are cleaning the exact same dishes, but the emotional context is entirely different.
Yeah, instead of aggressively scrubbing a pan in silent resentment because they just lost a shouting match, they are cleaning it as an act of partnership.
It's a total game changer.
This all really boils down to creating a safe landing pad for your words. If you wrap your words in threat signals like accusations, high-pitched stress tones, absolute statements like always and never, people will just throw up their shields.
The data bounces right off.
But if you wrap your words in vulnerability, collaborative pronouns, and a calm tone, they lower those shields. They actually hear you.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of both these scenarios, I think. Whether it's in the boardroom with Sarah or in the kitchen with your roommate. Human memory is largely emotional, not factual. At the end of the day, people will almost certainly forget the exact words you used. They won't remember the precise phrasing of your request or the exact logic of your argument, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel.
How you made them feel. That really is the true currency of communication. But applying this in real time, I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it?
It is hard.
It's one thing for us to dissect this conceptually right now, but it's another to actually execute it when your heart rate is elevated, you're annoyed, and your mouth is already opening to deliver a sharp comeback.
It requires a circuit breaker. You have to build in a momentary pause to override your automatic biological reaction.
And there is a profoundly simple, practical tool for this from the source material. Before you speak, especially in a tense moment, you have to force yourself to take one deliberate breath.
Just 1 second.
Just 1 second. And in that second, you ask yourself this exact question. Is what I'm about to say a bridge to connect us or a wall to separate us?
A bridge or a wall? It is such a brilliant, clarifying filter.
It really is.
It cuts right through the noise of our own egos. When you ask that question, you instantly realize that the sharp, witty comeback you were about to use to win the argument, that's a wall.
The accusatory, "Why do you always?" is a wall.
Exactly. It might make you feel momentarily powerful and righteous, but it isolates you. You win the battle, but you completely lose the connection.
But the collaborative "we," the lowered vocal tone, the expression of genuine vulnerability, those are bridges.
Yes.
They invite the other person to walk over and meet you in the middle. It completely changes the trajectory of a conversation simply because you took 1 second to focus on the receiver rather than the broadcast.
It's the difference between speaking to assert your dominance and speaking to foster a connection. If your genuine goal is to speak so that people actually enjoy listening to you, you have to be in the business of building bridges.
We've spent this entire time dissecting the mechanics of the art of speaking. We've talked about the biology of vocal tone, the pacing, the danger of absolute language, and the sheer power of vulnerability. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day.
I think this is my favorite part.
We established at the very beginning that the secret to speaking beautifully is entirely about shifting your focus to the listener. Making that person feel seen, respected, and biologically safe.
Right.
Well, if that is true, then maybe the ultimate speaking hack isn't about talking at all. Think about it. If the entire goal of communication is to make people feel completely valued and understood, how much would your relationships, your career, and your daily interactions transform if you applied this exact same bridge-building mindset to the way you silently listen?
That's a beautiful question.
What if you lowered your internal static, stopped frantically formulating your next brilliant point while the other person was still talking, and just gave them the incredibly rare gift of your full, undivided attention?
It changes everything.
Because sometimes the most captivating, magnetic thing you can do in a room full of noise is simply to listen.